Hello everyone, welcome to Business Live. Coming up in this bulletin, government highlights commitment to meeting future debt exchange obligations after settling 10 billion cedis in interest payment to bondholders. We'll be exploring how this payment reflects the government's commitment to fiscal discipline and stability. Also, this bulletin, Bank of Ghana warns banks not to relax credit discipline as non-performing loans remain above benchmark despite recent decline.
While non-performing loans have declined, they remain above benchmark levels. And as credit expansion resumes, underwriting discipline and sectoral risk assessment will be critical.
Plus, on the Joy Business Van, we will tell you how Build Financial Technologies is targeting SMEs with accounting innovations. We have details of this and more lined up for you this day. Thanks so much for your company. I am Pius Kojobaka, and looking at our stories. Government has assured that it is fully committed to meeting all future debt exchange program obligations in the coming months. This was after it released some 10 billion cedis as interest payments to all bondholders. More in this report.
Government, in the statement issued by the Ministry of Finance, noted that their promise is being influenced by the current strong buffers, improved macroeconomic fundamentals. The rest are declining inflation, lower interest rates, as well as a stable Ghana cedi. The Finance Ministry also revealed that this marks the 6th coupon payment under the domestic debt exchange program, which it says reflects strengthened fiscal capacity and government solvency. Some market analysts have also highlighted how this could go a long way to improve investor confidence when it comes to government's ability to meet its debt obligations in the coming months.
Let's have a broader conversation at the back of this. Joining us via Zoom is Dennis Brown. He is an Associate Director, Financial Advisory at Deloitte. Thank you so much, Dennis, for making time to join us here on Business Live. First off, how does this payment reflect government's commitment to fiscal discipline and stability?
Thank you very much, Pius, and good evening to your viewers and listeners. This is a very important piece of information coming from the government quarters, considering that government is having to meet its commitment to domestic bondholders, especially after these same bonds had been restructured, which led to significant impairment of the investor confidence in the economy. So it's very important that, following that event, that unfortunate event, government is able to meet its commitment and do so in a timely manner. And this speaks to, it's the very heart of financial discipline. Typically, when you hear financial or fiscal discipline, it normally relates to a conservative approach where government is cutting down on spending. But this is, a type of spending that we ought to do. We are committed to local investors, and it's very important that to further boost their confidence in our economy, we are able to meet this commitment and do so on time in a timely manner. So kudos to government. It's a good piece of information.
But really, will this payment significantly reduce Ghana's debt burden, and what's the outlook for future debt servicing?
These are interest payments that have accrued and are due for payment, around this time. If we do not pay, sometimes it capitalizes into, more debts. And so the fact that we are getting it out of the way, to some extent reduces our debt burden, instead of deferring it to later where we would have to pay anyway. And if we had deferred it, it would have further bruised, confidence in our economy, especially looking at where we are coming from. And it will create all manner of doubts, unnecessarily so, because the economy has improved. Everybody can see the numbers are, speaking to the story. So you don't want a situation where you have to pay investors and then you come up with one excuse or the other, or are not able to do so in a timely manner. It sends bad signals out there, not only to domestic investors, but international investors as well. They'll begin to wonder whether indeed your economy has really improved, as you said, or perhaps you are cooking some figures. And I don't think our credible institutions are cooking any figures. So it's important that, we consolidate the macroeconomic improvement that we have seen in 2025 with meeting this commitment to further boost confidence in our economy.
And I appreciate that you've mentioned investor confidence, but then again, ultimately, how will this timely payment influence investor confidence in Ghana's economy, especially our treasury? And of course, what does it say about our credit outlook?
Exactly. So it is exactly what I had said initially, to boost investor confidence in our economy, because you made a certain commitment to investors, in this case, domestic bondholders or domestic investors, and you have met it, in a timely manner. In fact, the government, to assure investors in its first budget, indicated I was going to create a sinking fund where I was going to allocate funds purposely for meeting these commitments as they fell due. And this is exactly what they've done. So, it's like going back to investors and say, well, I gave you my word and this is it. So it only boosts confidence in our economy, not only from the perspective of the domestic investors who has received their payment, but the international creditors are also watching and are also nodding their head that, okay, these guys are serious. It looks like they have improved in terms of liquidity and solvency. It looks like they have built enough reserves, and it looks like the economy has stabilized, and that's how come they are able to meet this commitment. So they should be willing and ready to do business with us. In terms of the credit outlook, the international credit rating agencies are also looking at what's happening. If you made a commitment to investors and you are not able to meet it, normally, it could lead to a downgrade in your economy. And that's something that the international investors are very keen on. They watch the ratings, to decide whether they want to keep doing business with us or not. With this happening, I'll be, surprised if we suffer any downgrade. Worst case scenario, the upgrade that we experienced recently will be maintained, or it could further lead to, further upgrades, if I can put it that way. And that can further boost confidence, in our economy, particularly from the perspective of the international investors.
Dennis Brown, thank you so much for your perspective on this subject matter. I'm glad you could make time to speak to us here on Business Live. Now, the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, has cautioned banks against complacency in credit risk management, despite recent improvements in asset quality. Addressing heads of banks at the 128th post-MPC meeting, the governor acknowledged that non-performing loans have declined. However, he stressed that they remain above benchmark levels and continue to pose a structural concern for the industry.
At the meeting warned that as credit expansion resumes in a stabilizing macroeconomic environment, underwriting discipline and rigorous sectoral risk assessment will be critical to sustaining gains.
Similarly, while non-performing loans have declined, they remain above benchmark levels. And as credit expansion resumes, underwriting discipline and sectoral risk assessment will be critical. Stability must now translate into purposeful intermediation, supporting agriculture, manufacturing, SMEs, and value-adding sectors without reintroducing asset quality pressures. Business model analysis will now form an embedded part of supervisory assessment, supporting the early identification of emerging risks and enabling timely policy and supervisory interventions.
The Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, also pushed for more banks to list on the Ghana Stock Exchange as part of effort to deepen Ghana's capital market and strengthen corporate governance in the financial sector.
At the same time, The Bank of Ghana has inaugurated a steering and technical committee to guide work on encouraging more banks to list on the Ghana Stock Exchange. Remember, we discussed this issue last year. This initiative brings together key institutions across the financial system, including the Bank of Ghana, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Ghana Stock Exchange itself, the Ministry of Finance is part, the National Insurance Commission, the Ghana Securities Industry Association, the Central Securities Depository, and the Ghana Association of Banks. Colleagues, listing is not only about capital raising. It broadens ownership, strengthens governance, and it deepens transparency as well as anchoring banks more firmly in domestic long-term savings, enhancing resilience and trust in the system.
The Bank of Ghana says it will remain firm but fair in its supervisory engagement as the sector transitions from stability to structural strengthening.
After facing near collapse and property seizures, Produce Buying Company has announced the reopening of all buying centers nationwide, signaling massive revival and confidence in the sector. The announcement follows reforms by government to empower the state-owned bulk cocoa purchasing company. Here's more from a presser organized by the company.
Highlighting the company's readiness to align with ongoing reforms, Managing Director of the Produce Buying Company, Seydou Nyonye, announced the reopening of all purchasing centers nationwide, cautioning farmers against trading with unlicensed buying companies.
To protect farmers from payment risks, we strongly advise farmers to transact business exclusively with the state-owned PBC Limited or other LBCs with verifiable offices and structures. This would mitigate counterparty risks and ensure payment security. Selling to unauthorized buyers expose you to significant payment risks.
Following the seizure of some of the company's assets by banks due to insolvency, he explained that government is exploring all available options to develop a sustainable financial model to revive the company's operations.
One of the options was to find out what asset we had that can take care of this debt from the banks. We have been in talks with them, we have been following them. And the other aspect was an expectation of government coming to take off this burden of debts from the bank from us. So these are the two options available to us, and we are in constant talks with the banks. We have done registration of farmers, we have the basis, and we believe that going forward we can make PBC to bounce back healthier.
He expressed the optimism that reforms announced by the finance minister would ensure sustainability across the entire cocoa value chain.
Fortunately, we fall under finance ministry, and the finance minister had come out with cabinet's position on PBC, cocoa board, and CPC rather, which obviously they would have had a plan for. So we don't need to talk much on this. The finance minister knows the burdens of PBC, and they would have taken all this into consideration, mitigating the challenges that we have and getting us off this.
Management also urged the Ghana Cocoa Board to expedite payment processes to address challenges related to delayed payments. They emphasized that reviving the company's operations signals renewed confidence in Ghana's cocoa industry.
This is still Business Live. We are back with a Joy Business Van shortly. Hello again, welcome back to Business Live. Let's now take the Joy Business Van. If you run a business, bookkeeping tasks such as recording transactions, reconciling accounts, and generating financial statements can be daunting. However, a platform developed by Build Financial Technologies is proven to be a game changer. Find out more on today's episode of the Joy Business Van.
They gave us this America approved for this, but I'm actually checking for the email I sent to
them. Yeah,
and then also they said at any time we can come for 45.
Okay. No, it's 65.
Sorry.
60.
Yes.
Co-founder and chief executive of Build Financial Technologies, Edward Nikwe, and his team in the middle of a crunch meeting. Well, it's become part of a daily routine of fixing the finances of small and medium enterprises.
The idea for Build started from my previous working experiences. I was working as a financial consultant and had opportunity of traveling across Ghana almost every day, working with SMEs. And what I saw was that almost all of them were trying to shy away from talking about their business finances, okay? Typically because they felt that is something for accountants. And also you could understand them because the software out there are very technical, right? So I would come in, help them, train them, and also set up simple financial management software for them to handle.
Within 3 to 6 months, the help Edward provided these businesses as a financial consultant would yield results, a visible impact. The businesses had control of their finances and were confident to approach financial institutions. Edward felt this help could be extended to others. That is how the idea for Build came.
We actually didn't go and start building the software. First, we set up an accounting firm trying to get more insight into how businesses handle their accounting. And then in 2020, we actually came up with our own software. So as at today, we have the accounting app, and it actually comes with different features, all ensuring that SME owners can have just one software, but they can use it for everything that has to do with their business finances.
From basic invoicing and billing to tax calculations and project management, an accounting software is an essential tool for the financial data of businesses. It also helps manage clients, reconcile bank accounts, and generate insightful financial reports that help businesses grow smoothly and continuously while significantly reducing the amount of error made in financial transactions.
Because the SMEs were not keeping the data, they can't go to financial institutions to ask them for funding because you can't show your financial statements, right? So that was a key challenge. I'm sure you would have heard that over 50% of SMEs cannot have access to funding. This is one of the key things. They are not keeping financial data to be able to have financial statements. Other thing too was because they don't have the data, it means that the owner just takes business decision as and when he is actually thinking of doing so. There isn't any data to sort of guide their decisions.
The platform created by Build Financial Technologies addresses these challenges and more. Yusuf Katuli is Chief Technology Officer at Build. He shares the thoughts that went into creating the platform.
What we intend to help businesses achieve is to be able to have a digitized record of the footprint of their business such that they can easily measure their profitability and also know where their business is headed. It's also a pathway to them being creditworthy to credit people who are capable of giving them credit to support their businesses. You cannot walk into a bank and just say, I do this, and you cannot present an evidence that you actually do this business and it's profitable or not. The software, just like any other business, handles the business's income, their expenses, their product and services, which is basically inventory, where you can manage basically manage inventory in and out of the things you sell. And under that, you can also manage communication with your clients, which is the CRM. And for those who are deep into accounting, as we support professionals to for medium and bigger businesses. You can do a lot under accounting, such as bank transfers, bank reconciliations, configure a chart of accounts, and for those who want to do the normal debit and credits in an accounting form, you can do journals. It also offers reports for business intelligence, such as your income statement, cash flow, balance sheets, standard reports, and other things like customer income by customers, agent receivables, to see the time people are taking to owe you, and almost everything that you need to know about your business is in the reports, but we have grouped them in the form of accounting reports, tax reports, and then the other reports that might be useful to other people like auditors and accountants.
15,000 businesses have signed up for Build. Next time, we find out what makes this accounting software unique.
So what makes this Build different is the fact that we didn't actually come from somewhere else to come and build this. We live with the people that use it, so it was built with them.
And even before we wrap up, the Ghana Institution of Surveyors is renewing calls for the swift passage of the Surveyors Council Bill ahead of its 23rd Surveyors Week and 57th Annual General Meeting in Accra. In light of that, some industry leaders are warning that stronger regulation is critical to safeguarding professional standards and supporting national development. More in the following report.
As Ghana confronts rapid urbanization, climate change, land tenure challenges, and infrastructure financing constraints, professional collaboration has become critical to sustainable development. The 21st Surveyors Week is expected to provide a platform for policy dialogue, innovation, and practical solutions aligned with Ghana's national development agenda. Surveyor Sally A.C. Pobitete of the Quantity Surveyors Division stressed the importance of sustainable procurement in driving long-term growth.
When we talk about value for money, it's not only least cost implementation. We are looking at sustainable procurement. We are looking at getting things of quality input in our national development, so that if the nation invests so much into infrastructure, it will take a longer time to depreciate or deplete. So that is what we are talking about. We are not talking about engaging in cheap development, but we are talking about having quality inputs, sustainable inputs, and then things that will reduce our recurrent costs and operation costs in the long term. So,
Surveyor Bernard Kofi Boateng of the Land Surveying Division called for the swift passage of the Surveyors Council Bill to strengthen regulation and professional standards.
The Ghana Institute of Surveyors, together with the Lands Commission and also the Land Surveyors Association of Ghana, they all make rules to avoid this quackery and also bring sanity into the land sector. In this era, policy-wise, Lands Commission is undergoing a whole lot of digitization process where searches can now be done online. You can sit at the comfort of your home, create an account for yourself, scan your document into the system, and within 2 weeks, your search results will be ready. Looking forward to the passage of the new Surveyors Council Bill, which will regulate the practice system and manage who does what. Because we can see foreigners around, they come and infiltrate the system, and our local professionals will be suffering, getting contracts. So with the passage of the Survey Council, we know that the Ghanaian surveyor will be great in the future.
Vice Chair of the Ghana Institution of Surveyors, Surveyor Timothy Anidowu, underscored the importance of this year's theme and the profession's role in building resilient communities.
This theme was carefully chosen to allow the Ghana Institution of Surveyors to be able to collaborate with other institutions in the built environment space, the architects, the planners, the engineers, to be able to together sit down and draw some pathways towards sustainable development, because individually we all are seeking to achieve the same thing. However, there might be unwritten barriers between us, and the Ghana Institute of Surveyors wants to take the lead in building a certain platform for such discussions.
The 21st Surveyors Week and 57th Annual General Meeting, scheduled from 21st February to 1st March, will bring together professionals across the built environment, policymakers and development partners to advance a more resilient and sustainable sustainable Ghana.
Thanks so much for watching Business Live for today. I am Pius Kojobaka.